Hello everyone and welcome back to my second proper official knitting podcast. I am so excited to update you on all the projects that I've worked on recently, some finished items, some works in progress, and also a couple of yarn acquisitions as well. Straight after this I'm going to be filming my autumn knitting plans, full of some patterns that I'm really looking forward to potentially making this autumn, and also some yarn that I've purchased to go alongside those. So if that interests you, and if you want to know what I'm thinking about making this autumn/winter, be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's a new content strand for me that really excites me, so yeah, any support on these knitting videos would mean loads. Before I get into my finished items, quickly, I am wearing, this is my first ever knitted garment that I made back in February. It is the April vest by Vicky Knits. Absolutely love this. I would highly recommend it if you're a beginner. This pattern taught me so much about knitting a garment. I learned so many new techniques. If you want to see the video of me making this, the vlog, I will leave that in the description box and up here. I used the Wool and the Gang Crazy Sexy wool in the shade Red Ochre, which I think is just the most beautiful colour. I haven't worn this in a really long time because it's just been too warm in the UK, but I really can't wait for autumn now, so when I can like dig all my cozy knits back out. I really love this because it has kind of an open split at the hem with the ribbed detailing. I learned how to do 1x1 rib knit. I learned how to like pick up stitches for the sleeves and the neckline. I learned how to like seam together, and I actually haven't blocked this yet. I really need to. I just didn't know that that was a thing when I first started knitting, so I'm definitely going to block it, and I imagine it will grow a little bit, but absolutely love this vest. Okay, so now into my finished items. This is one that I didn't even know I was going to make the last time that I filmed my knitting podcast. I made the Audrey top by Petite Knit. This was my very first Petite Knit pattern. Honestly, and I probably shouldn't admit this, honestly, I didn't want to jump on the Petite Knit hype because she is such a huge designer, and I wanted to kind of support the more smaller, lesser known independent designers like Vicky Knits and A Honey Knits, who I've knit up a couple of their items now, but I just couldn't resist trying just one Petite Knit pattern, and I've got to say I'm a bit of a convert now. Her patterns are very, very easy to read and understand, and I freaking love my Audrey top. The main reason I knit this is because I really wanted to buy this Sadness Garn pattern magazine, pattern book, for this one particular pattern called the Bonnie Sweater, which looks like this. I really wanted to make this cable knit jumper, my first cable knit, and I couldn't find this edition of this magazine anywhere online apart from one place, which is called Tangled Yarn. So I added it to my order, I checked out, paid, and then they got in touch with me saying that they couldn't sell this magazine unless I also purchased at least 3 balls of Sadness Garn yarn. And I was like, oh, okay then. So I had to like really quickly make a decision on some Sadness Garn yarn to buy, and I decided to go for Lena, which is linen yarn from Sadness Garn, and I went for this really beautiful shade which I think is called Acorn. All the details of this will be on my Ravelry, which I will link down below. You cast on, you work up into the armholes, and then after that it goes super quickly when you work decreases down both sides, and then you make the little I-cord straps. It was my first time making I-cord straps, and oh my god, I absolutely love them. I just think they are the cutest things ever. I'm also so proud of this project because I think it's so neat. Can you see how neat my decrease edge looks? I am just so proud of myself with this project. I've worn it out once already, and I've got to say I love this fabric. This is obviously my first linen project. Knitting with this I did not enjoy. I found it very rough on my hands, and I found the yarn to be super splitty. Like if I made a tiny mistake it would kind of crumble into 5 different strands. But now that it is complete and blocked, it has just the most beautiful drape, and it feels so soft and light and airy on my skin. So this, I would definitely knit with this yarn again. I did make 1 or 2, not modifications, but slightly different bind offs So cast on that I did at the bottom, because it's stockinette, it rolls up. I have blocked it and pinned it, but it has just kept rolling up. So around the neckline, I taught myself how to do an Icelandic bind off, which kind of has stopped that curling around these edges. So yeah, I really loved all the new techniques that I learned knitting this up, and I would say it took me about 3 weeks. It felt like it took me forever to knit this main bulk, but after that it went really quickly. Super happy with my Audrey top. I will insert some videos of me wearing it. Oh, I'm also going to be filming an everything that I've knit this year video for my Instagram, so comment over to my Instagram if you want to see that. My only other finished item this month is a crochet project, and it is my trendy everyday handbag made from my hooked spaghetti t-shirt yarn, which I absolutely love. It literally took me about a week to crochet up and teach myself how to do it, and I have worn this so much since. I'm aware that I'm clashing a little bit with my jumper here, but I couldn't recommend this pattern enough, especially if you're a beginner. The designer of this pattern was also super helpful on Instagram. If I had any questions, she sent me emails with more directions. I still have a little bit of the yarn left, so I'm thinking about making these straps a little bit thicker, because as you can see they're kind of thin, and I feel like the weight of the bag and everything that I carry around is kind of heavy, so they're just getting stretched. But I love this bag so much, and I've actually purchased some more colours of kind of a similar t-shirt yarn so I can knit up some more, because I'd really love one that isn't so bright. But yeah, I get so many compliments on this, and it's surprisingly roomy. It fits so much stuff in it, and I couldn't recommend this pattern enough. I will leave links to patterns down below. Okay, so then onto some whips. I need to give you an update on the Eloise top, which is kind of like a long-lasting whip that I've been working on for a few months now. I haven't picked this up in about 2-3 weeks, because oh my god, I have hated knitting the sleeves on this. You'll see here that I've made a lot more progress than I had the last time I filmed a video. So this is the Eloise top by Friday Knits. It is a sheer polka dot top, which goes into a sweetheart neckline bust with some nice stretchy ribbing at the top and some decreases around the waist. Let me show you this. So this is the popcorn sheer mohair top half. So I've completed the body, and I've completed my first sleeve, which oh my god, I hated doing so much, only because you're doing so much in one go. So for the sleeves you're doing the popcorn pattern, you're doing magic loop because it's quite a small hole, and you're doing German short rows for about, oh my god, I want to say 50 rows. It took me forever to do the short rows back and forth with the popcorn stitch, which is why it's really making me not want to do the other one. I guess this is what you call second sock syndrome, but instead it's second sleeve syndrome. It's so silly, because I know that if I just pick up my sleeve stitches and do it, it will be done potentially in a couple of weeks time, but yeah, I just haven't enjoyed it. I have learned I-cord bind off, which I think looks so pretty on this. I really love how that looks. I think it's very smart. Because I was using magic loop technique and with such a fine mohair, I'm so gutted that this sleeve isn't perfect. I don't know if you can see, but there's some really large gaps here where the yarn is just stretched and pulled. I absolutely hate that. That makes me not want to work on the sleeve again either. And also where I've kind of picked them up around here is so gappy. So I might go in after I've finished it and try and add another piece of yarn there to make it less obvious. If anyone knows what I can do about that, let me know, because that's so annoying. Luckily it is kind of on the underarm, so you can't really see it, but I think it is a little bit on the back as well, which is annoying me. One thing that I have really enjoyed doing with this pattern is learning how to do a folded hem at the bottom. So I don't know if you can see this, but this has been like a double knit bottom band, which is my first time doing that. You basically do the stockinette, then you do a row of purl bumps, which you can kind of see, and then you continue in stockinette and then you fold it over and seam it together with the live stitches. So I really enjoyed learning that new technique, really enjoyed learning the I-cord bind off. So once I've done the other sleeve, I'm not finished, because then I need to do an I-cord edge around the whole neckline and the whole button band, and then I need to learn how to attach a button there, and then I think I'll be done. So I think, you know what, I think tonight I am going to pick up the stitches for my sleeves just so they are ready to go, so the next time I get a little burst of inspiration I will just try and finish this ASAP. So hopefully in the next video this will be finished, but I've tried it on a few times and it looks really beautiful, so I am looking forward to finishing that. I don't know how wearable it's going to be, because you can't really wear a bra and my nipples are visible if I wear this, but maybe I'll get some like proper big sticky patches for my boobies so it's not so obvious. Okay, and then I've got 2 more whips. This I am so excited about and is knitting up so quickly. This is my first ever My Favourite Things knitwear pattern, who is another very known, loved designer, knitwear designer. This is sweater number 1. This is knit in a boucle yarn held together with a mohair yarn, and for this I'm using both drops. I'm using Drops Alpaca Boucle in the shade 2020, which is called Light Camel, and it is so soft. Firstly, it's the softest yarn, and I don't know if you can see, but it just has really cute little fluff, round fluff on it. It's kind of like a grey beige brown, and then I'm holding it together with Drops Kid Silk in the colour 12, which is the shade beige, which looks like this. And this is just something I'm upset about with purchasing yarn online, is that I struggle so much with the colours. There have been a couple of instances where I've purchased yarn online and thought that the colours would be really lovely, but they've turned out to be a little bit different to what I'd imagined. So I thought this was going to be more of like a brown, like a camel brown beige, whereas this is like a grey. I wouldn't say this is a beige at all, even though it's called beige. And this camel isn't giving camel, it's giving beige. It's giving greyish, this top. So that's my only upset about this jumper, is I'm not sure the colour is very flattering on my skin tone. I feel like maybe it washes me out a little bit, but I am so excited to wear this jumper because it is so freaking soft. I'm making really good progress on this. It's really quick to knit up. This is the front of it. It's a top down raglan sweater, so you cast on the neck. I think I did like ½ centimetre less than it asked for because I didn't want it to be too high, and then you do the raglan increases, which I have found a little bit pointless on a jumper like this because you just can't see the beautiful detail of the increases at all. Like, unless you hold it up to the light, you can't really see the increases, which is a shame because I do love the look of a raglan jumper. But I started this on Saturday and it's now Wednesday, and I've already split this for the sleeves and I'm working on the body. I've got 2 more balls of boucle left. I think this jumper is supposed to be a bit cropped, like especially the sleeves are a bit cropped. So I've got about 2 and a little bit left of the boucle, and I've got 2 balls of the mohair left as well. So I'm really hoping I can get a little bit more length out of the sleeves than the pattern calls for. I think I'm going to do a little bit more of the body and then I'm going to start on the sleeves just to assess how much yarn I need for each sleeve before I then finish the body. I don't mind if the body is a little bit more cropped, but I don't want the sleeves to be cropped. So that is my plan. I don't think this will take me very long at all. So far I've found this a super quick project to work on because it's using size 6, UK 6 needles. What do you guys think? I just think the boucle is so kind of cozy and snug. G, my husband, calls this my Selkirk Rex jumper because it looks like a very scraggly Selkirk Rex cat. And then I've got 1 more whip, which I think is going to be a bit of a long project for me. I've literally done 2 rows of this But I have decided to knit up the mixed rib cami by Handmade by Florence, and this is from my first ever Knitting for Olive order. Knitting for Olive, I feel, is so difficult to get your hands on in the UK. I've booked a trip to Oxford tomorrow because I know that they stock Knitting for Olive in the Oxford yarn store, so I'm really looking forward to going and seeing more of the shades in real life. But for this I purchased 3 balls of the Knitting for Olive merino in the shade navy blue, which, oh my god, I just think is the most flattering colour. I honestly think this colour will suit everyone, and it is so nice and soft. And so far I have done literally 2 rows. That is it, that is my progress. I started this on the train and haven't picked it back up since because I've been working on my jumper, but I think I'm going to take this project on the train to Oxford with me tomorrow, so hopefully I will have a little bit more progress the next time I update you. So far I'm just getting to grips with the mixed rib pattern, which I think I'm going to have to like get tattooed on my arm because I have the world's shortest memory and I can never remember what I'm doing in a project. I'm really looking forward to this because I've seen a picture of this top in this particular colour and I just fell in love with the shade. So I know this is a really popular knit, lots of people have done this, so I am very excited to jump on the bandwagon and hopefully mine will look as good as everyone else's. They are all my whips and finished projects. I have a couple of yarn acquisitions. I have actually got a lot more than this, but this is all I'm going to show in this video because the rest I'm going to show in my autumn video. I have been busy filming a series where I visit every single independent yarn store in London, and I'm going to put together a big video of me going to and showing you what you can get at every single one of them, all the details about them, where they are, what they stock. Very excited about that. I've visited, I want to say, about 4 or 5 so far, but the latest one I went to was called Sharkworks, which is in Herne Hill, independent yarn store. Very beautiful, very helpful sellers in there, owners in there, and I accidentally left with 4 balls of yarn that I did not intend on going in and buying. But every yarn store I've been in London has sold this yarn, and every single time I spend 5 minutes looking at it and squeezing it and falling in love with it. This is Rico Design Fashion Alpaca Superfine Heavens, and this one is in the shade number 1. This yarn is my first ever like stranded coloured yarn. I don't know what the word or the term, variegated, I think it's called variegated yarn, where the colour will change as you knit. It is so soft and so fluffy, oh my goodness. So I bought 4 balls of this, one of them still downstairs. I just brought these up now so you can see the difference in shades, because this is all the same shade and the same colourway and the same batch, but the colours are kind of wrapped differently, so you can kind of see what the variegated colours are going to end up like. There's some like green and blues, but then the majority is like a peach and a pink. And I've got a pattern for this which is made specifically for this yarn, the Rico Knitting Idea Compact Fashion Alpaca Superfine Heavens sweater. So this is, I bought 4 balls to make a size small of this sweater with this yarn, which will look like this apparently. There's also instructions in here for a scarf and like a loop, but yeah, I think the jumper is the one for me. What I will show you here is what the variegation looks like. This is the one that I bought, number 1. But I've been having second thoughts on making this sweater. I just think it's a kind of boring design, very simple, like it's literally 1 column of instructions. So I'm thinking of actually making something a little bit different with this yarn. I've got 4 balls, which is about 460 meters, and you only hold it 1-stranded. So I think instead I am going to make blouse number 1 light by My Favourite Things Knitwear, or the Cumulus blouse by Petite Knit, or the Louisiana sweater. I think I would have enough to make a short sleeved version of that, or Drops have a free pattern called Sweet Melody, which I could try and make. I think that's a short sleeve t-shirt as well. Or the light loop sweater. I've kind of narrowed it down to those ones. If you think there's a particular pattern that would suit that yarn, do let me know. But yeah, I was thinking maybe not so much a chunky sweater, but something a little bit more delicate to really show off the kind of daintiness of that fabric. And then finally, it was my birthday in August, and my lovely husband bought me a bag of yarn, which is so exciting. So he went to McCulloch and Wallace, which is a yarn store, an independent yarn store in Soho. Really recommend this. It has like not only knitting stuff but fabric, textiles, they've got everything in there. He went in there and purchased a whole bag of yarn, so I'll show you what he got me. I haven't really got projects for these just yet, so if you have any ideas, do let me know. I will need to go in and get more amounts for each of these, but that's fine. So the first thing he got me was 2 balls of this. This is the Jeopard Puff in the shade 770. I am not going to lie, I went into this store and I nearly bought this myself, so he's got very good taste. But it's like a very chunky yarn. It reminds me in feeling of Drops Air, and it's kind of like two-tone, so it's white with some like mohairy blue on it, which I just think would make the nicest jumper. The pattern that I'm thinking of making with this is sweater number 12 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. I've only got 2 balls, so I will need to go in and get some more, but this is 70% cotton, 25% baby alpaca and 5% merino wool, so it's so soft, and I just think the two-tone of that in a jumper would be so beautiful, so he did very well with that. He also bought me this. This is the Flamey Lala Berlin from the brand Lana Grocer in the shade 7. This is 100 grams, which is 70 meters, and the color of this is stunning. So the reason he bought this is because he loved the idea of this yarn, because it's like got different the strands are different sizes. So I don't know if you can see there, it goes from kind of skinny to really chunky. Yeah, it's got like really chunky bits that go into then quite tightly wrapped sections. So I have looked on Ravelry at some projects using this, and the end design is kind of bumpy and not bumpy and just a bit textured, which is so nice. I just love the colour of this, and I kind of want to make a hat. I kind of want to make a hat with this. If you have used this yarn, let me know what you've made. He also bought me a ball of Jeopard Puno, which is 68% baby alpaca, 10% mulesing free, which is fine merino wool, and then 22% something else. Oh, I actually can't read those instructions. This is the colour 604, and it is such a beautiful purple lilac, which I absolutely love. He kind of chose these because they all kind of go together, but these two in particular look so nice together. Again, a hat I think would be so nice in this fabric. And then he got me this, which is from Lana Grocer. It is the confetti yarn in the shade 08. It is another kind of dyed and variegated chunky, like I would say a super bulky yarn with cream, greens, greys and blues running through it, and yet almost like mossy yellows. Finally, he bought me this, which I'm really excited to use. This is the Lang Yarns palettes in the shade 39 or 28, I can't quite tell, but it is a gold sequiny yarn that you can hold with another yarn to make a really pretty sequiny colour. I think this might have worked really well in this, held together with a merino or a linen to give a little bit of shimmer. But yeah, I am so excited to use this up. Let me know if you have used anything like this before. I think it's so beautiful. So yeah, he did so well. So yeah, that was a mega video. I've been filming for over half an hour. As I said, I'm going to be filming my what I'm making or what I want to make this autumn. So be sure to subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what project you're working on at the moment. I would love to hear all about that. I will see you very shortly for some more updates. Lots of love.